come back as Camelot was smoke and mirrors. And after all these years, the facts of the past and the women used wide and fast, for they were fooled by the energy tool they called Mr. President. JFK Jr. had a himbo and a fool. He was on the inside and he could never see the sky. So dark and handsome, and you wonder why. Hi everybody, welcome to High Voltage, and we are reading and doing a little refresher of Ask Not, the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed, as you can see by the thumbnail. So, here we go. I'm putting the book down, and I'm putting the guitar away, and then I come back and read, and we read. So, I'm also doing this live on Lasha Rajenko, but anybody who is subscribed to Lasha Rajenko or LNL Soul Sisters, there are links in the community page that will link you right to this channel. So I'm going to go live as well. And no, this is not for children. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I think we're all synchronized now. I made that little jingle up prior to coming on the podcast. So it was impromptu, and that's why I couldn't do the song at the same time as an introduction, because the lyrics are on the Lasha Rajenko channel. And I am extremely tired tonight, but this book is getting good. So, for those of you, we're reading Ask Not, the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed. I think the original reason that MAUREEN Callahan started to write this book is she was very concerned. Hello, Trevor. Thank you for joining. I'm reading Ask Not, the Kennedys and the Women They Destroyed, and I'm also focusing on a video at the same time. So if anybody comes in live, Trevor is the moderator, and we need to figure out how to get him that blue wrench. Yeah, I was just telling everybody, Trevor, how tired I am. And I knew that you would be here. I was going to email you actually when I was finished this intro. Let me have some Gatorade. So that was sort of a little refresher as to where we left off, because subsequently I'm not going to reread the pages that have already been read. Okay, so in 30 minutes, we have 30 minutes because Trevor wants to go live on YouTube, and yeah, so we have 30 minutes to get through this. And for those of you that are reading the book with me, we're on the Carolyn Bessette icon part. and it's page 11, okay? Okay, so Christina was near tears. John was stubborn enough to go without her and leave her alone with these strange men. And if you recall from the last chapter, this was one of his girlfriends, Christina. A girl who loved books and the theater. She was not an athlete, or no athlete, as Maureen Callahan said. So at any rate, so this is one of his girlfriends, in case there was any confusion, because he did have a lot of girlfriends. So John brushed her off. It's our best shot, he said. What were they? In an action movie? Their best shot was waiting for these experienced fishermen who knew this winter to sail them back. No way will wreck, John said. I know I can turn the jack, or the yak. So off they were, exhausted, and sorry, I need my glasses. Not only, oh, this is way better. So yes, I definitely need glasses. Okay, so John said, oh, wait. So John brushed her off. You know, it's our best shot, he said. And this is in the kayaks through the running water. Remember that part from the last episode? So off they went, exhausted and traumatized. John pushed off using his paddle, steering and counting seconds between wave breaks. But the swells were so much bigger than John had anticipated. The current was so strong they were losing control. Suddenly, they were underwater. Christina felt extreme pressure. The brace on her leg was going to burst. She opened her eyes and found herself looking up at a blurry ray of sunshine penetrating the deep. They must have been 15 feet down. This is it, Christina thought. We're going to, her paddle was swept right out of her hand. She watched it float away. Her crutches were gone too, I was going to say as well. The weight on her bones was like concrete. Somehow, miraculously, the kayak spun and broke the surface, only to be pushed underwater by another sudden wave and then back up again. John was screaming instructions. Bail, bail, find the bailer now. The kayak was taking on water. Christina was crying, like hysterically. The kayak was taking on water. Now, this is all because JFK didn't want to put the, I forget what they're called, but they're nylon pieces that go into the kayak to avoid water spillage in the kayak. He just didn't want to put them in. I mean, we can all be daft and clumsy, but that's like complete stupidity and entitlement. At the end of each character, I'd like to do a live and discuss your thoughts on it. I don't want to interject my thoughts too much, but sometimes I will say something. But at any rate, so Christina felt extreme pressure. Okay, read that. So, okay, bail, bail, find the bailer now. The kayak was taking on water. Christina was crying. "There is no baler, John," she explained. "How could you not pack a baler? We're in the gosh darn ocean." Blank, use anything, use your hands. Her hands? She looked over at John, who was using a cotton baseball cap. He was using a baseball cap to try to get the water out of the kayak. Oh. Wow. Okay. "There is no baler, John," she explained. "How could you not pack a baler when we're in the gosh darn ocean?" And then he screams, and she's screaming back at each other, "Use anything, use your hands." And she's thinking, her hands? Like, okay. You know, that's like trying to bake dough in the ocean. I know. Like, that's gonna work, Trevor said. That's exactly it. Oh, this book is so depressing. I think it's depressing, but absolutely hilarious, because, like, the truth, you're gonna laugh or you're gonna cry. I don't have cognitive dissonance to the feelings of these people's societies. I don't. I think it's rather interesting. I would never want this in my life. Well, we'll talk about that soon. Okay, so the paddle was swept right out of her hand. She watched it float away. Her crutches were gone too. The weight on her boots were like concrete. That's right. Somehow, miraculously, the kayak spun and broke the surface, only to be pushed underwater by another sudden wave, then back up again. John was screaming instructions, okay, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then she looked over at John, who was using a cotton ball She looked over at John, who was using a cotton baseball cap to try to bail water out. Okay? Thank you, Trevor. Nobody will be on tonight. I just am doing this impromptu. So later, years after his death, Christina was still unable to remember how they ever survived. When they finally reached land, John tied up the boat like nothing had happened. That's speaking of cognitive dissonance. Oh my God, I am so fetching smart. Oh gosh. Oh yeah, okay. The current was so strong, they were losing control. Suddenly, they were oh, I already read that. She looked over at John, who was using, okay, we got that, okay. How they even survived. Christina was shaking, and John was acting like nothing had happened. John, she said, John, we could have, John, we could have. And then he says, yeah, Chief, he said. But what a way to go. What a way to go. I'm not even going to get started on that tangent. And tell me in the comments, I am working with very little high-tech equipment, okay? So, yeah. I'm doing my best. If it's a little pingy, I do apologize, and I'm gonna get better at it, I promise. Okay, so seriously, John had given Christina valuable information that day. He had a death wish. It was strong in his DNA. She didn't know if he was even aware of it, and she couldn't allow herself to fully admit it to himself. He couldn't admit it to himself, okay? That was the John she could never leave, the sensitive, tender, kind man. And so disastrous kept happening. So disastrous, no, so disasters, that's what I thought. I need those glasses. Where are those ugly glasses? And these aren't even my glasses. These are my mother's glasses. And my mother is up north with her boyfriend. And I think she's very happy. So I'll tell her that all y'all say hello. Wait a minute, I've got to get comfy here. I'm not comfortable. Oh, it was very important to me to continue with this book because I remember all of these things from when I was growing up. So if you're in your I would say early 50s to mid 50s to 60s, you would have known all of the myths of Camelot, okay? And before I continue reading, what's really interesting is I wish that we could get to the men. I wish she mixed them up because the name of the island where Mary Jo was suffocated and Ted fled the scene of the crime, and she could have been saved. She could have been saved. No charges were laid on him, and he became a sitting senator for about 40 years. I haven't read that part yet, but that's my memory. This was a powerful, powerful family back in the day. And they would put out, when I think about it, a lot of propaganda pieces. Anything you would watch about the Kennedys, I remember Ethel, the mother of, I don't remember all of the children, but I know that MAUREEN Callahan was very concerned that Bobby Kennedy's son, Bobby Jr., I think is his name, which is Jack Kennedy's nephew, as it were. And he's the one that I took a clip of the Bill Maher interview with Bob Kennedy Jr. And when you look at the behavior and the lineage of the whole entire family, there is a lot of, I don't know if it's inherited, if it's just all learned behavior, but it just goes on and on and on and on. So at any rate, let me grab some coffee because I am getting really tired. Wow. And I need to eat some chow. Okay, I won't interject anymore. Okay. John had given, Christina information that day. He had a death wish. It was strong in his DNA. She didn't know if she was even aware of it, and she couldn't allow herself to fully admit it to herself. John could be so tender with her, so sensitive. That was the John she could never leave, and so disasters kept happening. I'm glad that I read that over. On Martha's Vineyard, John took Christina sailing one raw February, able to a remote island. Ooh, that sounds nice. They camped at night, and the next morning, Christina saw the sign, danger. That's weird. You know, there's always signs everywhere. You get it? Like literally or metaphorically, there's always signs. Right? Huh. On Martha's Vineyard, John took Christina sailing one raw February night to a remote island. They camped at night, and the next morning, Christina saw the sign danger. He had brought them to a Navy bombing test site. When Jackie found out, Jackie Onassis, she was furious, absolutely furious. You were with Christina, she kept saying to John, but nothing landed with him, not even his mother's anger. And lo and behold, later that afternoon, John insisted Christina get on top of a Jeep while he spun it around at high speed just for kicks. Trevor, you're gonna have to rewatch this. I'm just going to put that in the chat. So Trevor, you'll want to rewatch. You'll want to watch this part that you missed. I haven't seen sight of anybody else. Okay. Oh, okay, he's back. All right. So Christina saw the sign danger, and then I said, you know, whatever I just said. And Christina got on top of a Jeep while he spun it around at high school just for kicks. Now, okay, so Christina's one of many of his girlfriends. Christina had not planned for this. She was wearing a brand new camel coat. Oh, I love that caramel colored coat that I had, the leather one. Somebody stole it. And my black leather jacket. I mean, oh man, this society is starting to scare me. People will do anything for $1. It was good. Thank you for asking, Trevor. And let's chat a little later. So Christina hadn't planned for this. And I don't mean that staunchly. I'm just on a roll, and I don't want to let the people down that like this book. But I know, like Heather made it very clear that she, you know, is not interested in this at all. So, okay, so Christina hadn't planned for this. She was wearing a brand new camel coat she just bought at, Bergdorf's specialty for this weekend. It was the last one left. 2 sizes too big and way too expensive. But Christina loved it. Jackie would approve, and she wanted to impress Jackie. No longer Mrs. Onassis to her now. Wait, and she wanted to impress Jackie. No longer Mrs. Onassis to her now. Oh, okay. No longer Mrs. Onassis to her now. Okay, so this would have been after she divorced Ari. No. I spent, yeah. So at any rate, so if I pause for a minute, just take the line and fast forward until you see or hear my mouth flapping again. Seriously. Okay, where was I? This is what Oprah would do. Where was I? You know, and Oprah Winfrey, speaking of Jacqueline Onassis, does anybody remember Jacqueline or JFK Jr. on the Oprah Winfrey Show in the 90s when he first launched that magazine, George, and it had Christina Crawford, Cindy Crawford on the front, and you know she's doing commercials for the Brick right now, and she was on Oprah Winfrey, and I remember watching this and thinking it was weird. And this was the same method that big bloke producer, you know which one I'm talking about. Ronan Farrell broke the story, okay? Cindy Crawford was on Oprah Winfrey's show, and Oprah said, Cindy, stand up and twirl. I don't know if she said the word twirl, but she gestured. Okay. She was gesturing that, Oprah with her hands, motioned her to turn around, and that's what Megyn Kelly called the twirl with not Rupert Murdoch, the Fox News guy. How could I forget his name? It'll come back to me. Anyways. Okay, all right. So, okay, we were at no longer Mrs. Onassis to her now. This was not the stuff of a genteel weekend with the refined Jackie O. I can't, Christina said. John pushed. He leveraged her fear that this would be the last time together. Ooh, that's nasty business. That's nasty business. Okay, so John pushed. He leveraged her fear that this would be their last time together, having told her that he needed to see other women before he married her. Okay, so this is Christina. Okay. And he was with Daryl Hannah for 7 years, maybe? I don't know. And if nobody watches Splash with Daryl Hannah and Tom Hanks, you are missing out on an 80s classic. It was hilarious. Just hilarious. Okay, so, all right. So John pushed, he leveraged fear, okay, basically threatening to end the relationship. And he wanted to see other women until he figured out if he wanted to marry her. Huh. Then telling her that she was too good for him, that she had a calling, acting, and he did not, and that he needed to find direction on his own alone. But then she would hear and read about the movie star he was seeing, Daryl, John and Daryl. Oh yeah, we're talking about John F. Kennedy Jr., right? Oh, okay, so anyways, Christina got swept off so anyways, John and Daryl were all over the tabloids. I remember that, actually. They were always in Central Park, and there was a video caught where they were fighting. Daryl Hannah and JFK looked like they were arguing, and it was on the front of the Enquirer. Am I wrong, or did Donald Trump have his hand in the Enquirer? Trevor. Okay, so, all right. That's kind of a mind mess up. So, okay, I have to read this one more time. Christina hadn't planned for this. She was wearing a brand new camel coat she just bought at Bergdorf Specialty for this weekend. It was the last one left. 2 sizes too big, way too expensive. But Christina loved it. Jackie would approve, and she wanted to impress Jackie. No longer Mrs. Onassis to her now. That was not the stuff of a general